Today I'm here with Celia Fontaine, and she's going to tell her story about how Jesus has done some amazing things in her life. I know that she is going to tell us about a movement from complete darkness into God's wonderful light, and I'm so excited to hear about it. Celia, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I start again by asking you, has Jesus been good to you?
He's been so good to me. My life is so far from what it was that it makes me cry just thinking about it.
Yes. We use the expression being born again, and for you it's a new life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes. Just tell me, should we start when you were little, or where do you want to start your story?
So I was kind of spoiled as a kid.
Yes.
And it didn't teach me a lot about real life.
Okay.
And what real life is going to do to you if you go into real life with the spoiled mentality, entitled to everything and respecting no one.
You were not prepared.
I was not prepared. But jail prepared me because I ended up in jail at 17.
Why? What happened?
I was in Shreveport. My mom had sent me to live with my brother.
Okay.
In Louisiana because I was just going wild. So she sent me to live with my brother. He played indoor football. And all we did was play dominoes and go to football games and, smoke some pot. That's what we did all day long. I'm supposed to be going to school.
Yes.
And then one night I had met somebody in Louisiana who gave me some rohypnols. And my brother and I went to a bowling alley. We started to shoot pool and I lost my mind. And I was fighting with somebody and the cops were called and I ended up going to jail. And my brother ended up going to jail. That was the only time he'd ever been in jail.
Wow.
And he got sent to jail. I got sent to jail in Louisiana.
And I mean, you were only 17.
I was 17.
Were you terrified?
I was terrified. Yeah. But I was also, entitled. Like, I don't deserve to be here. I was kicking the jail cells and I was, beating the phones and trying to make noise so they'd take me out.
Yes.
And it was a bunch of ridiculous behavior.
Yes.
It was the first of probably 45 times that I've been in jail.
Wow.
45 times.
Oh, wow.
Twice in prison. And the rest of them were, 6-month stints, 5-month stints, sometimes 3 months, 2 months, sometimes overnight. But probably I'd guesstimate 45 times I've been to jail.
Your life was really a mess at that time.
A mess. And that was just the beginning.
Oh. And what was the causes of all of it? Was it drugs or?
Drugs. I started drugs young. I was snorting cocaine in 7th grade.
Oh.
I was, smoking meth in 9th grade. And it spiraled. I was varsity softball my freshman year, but I had to turn in my uniform. Oh. One of the hardest days of my younger life was when I had to turn in my varsity uniform because I got kicked off the team because I didn't know how to come to practice. I was always high when I came to practice.
What do you think made you start on this path?
I have no idea.
No.
I have no idea. I know when I was young, I was given permission and allowed to,
You lacked some rules and boundaries?
Yes. And I was given too much freedom and just freedom to go do whatever.
And how did you even get in contact? Were you having friendships that were not good?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
Oh, yes. I was having a friendship in 7th and 8th grade, that 7th that went through the middle of my high school year, the middle of my high school years.
Yes.
A couple friends of mine, that were no good. And when you get 3 kids that are no good together and you involve adults that are buying alcohol and adults that are doing drugs with us and my mom just dropping us off, dropping me off to go over there. And, I can stay over there all weekend and nobody's coming to check on me.
Oh, yeah.
So
there was this an unsafe environment where you were just let loose,
given freedom.
Yes. And really not having the sense of understanding what was going on.
No, I thought this was, this was okay. My boyfriend's 18. I'm 13. Oh. What's happening?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend who's 14, but her boyfriend's 19. And, we have this circle of drugs, sex, and...
Yes, it becomes very toxic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to school. I'm suspended from school. And it's, my dad didn't start trying to discipline me until I was a sophomore. By that time, I had already had my car. He got me a 300ZX when I was 15, turning 16, a 5-speed. It had T-tops and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And you couldn't tell me anything. Yeah. And then, he started to see the reality of what was going on.
And then it was too late.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And yes, you cannot start to change the ways. It's too late when it's already happening, of course. So it was a lot of drugs and a lot of bad company. And those were the things that led you to jail and prison.
That's the beginnings of it, yeah.
Yes. And what happened?
Well, after high school, I think I was expelled for the final time in the end of my sophomore year. That's when I went to Louisiana. Then I came back from Louisiana. And I mean, everything was good for a while, and then when I turned 20, I got my GED. Then after I got my GED, I got pregnant. I'm blessed with a wonderful, healthy son, but it was a combination of bad decisions.
Yes, I understand.
That got me pregnant. And a lot of alcohol.
Oh, yes.
Then I was exotic dancing for a while, and I was making.
So you being a young mother didn't really change your behavior.
It did for a little while.
Yes, okay.
He was only 6 months old when I decided I'm going to move out and I'm going to get my own apartment. And I got in contact with a few more, not so great company and started exotic dancing. I was making, $1,000 a night. And then I decided that wasn't enough money. So there was somebody that lived across the street, and he was like, hey, I've got these checks. If you can cash these checks, I'll give you, 80% of the checks and it'll be great. So my first actual prison stint was for forgery of a financial institution. Oh, wow.
Did you understand what you were doing?
No. I just understood that I needed more money.
Yes.
Because it's never enough money.
Yes.
It's never enough.
No, if money is your goal,
that's it.
It will never be enough.
Never be enough.
Oh. And you didn't understand that it was something illegal that you were doing?
Oh, I knew it was illegal.
Oh, okay.
But I just thought I was untouchable. Why would I get caught?
Yes.
I'm me. Yeah.
And so when you got into, how long was that sentence?
That was 6 months.
Okay.
I did 6 months in state jail. And, it was more of, Dawson jail is kind of like a club.
Okay.
Like there's a bunch of homosexuality. There's a bunch of, having fun, partying, tattoos. And it wasn't terrible, but I had to sign over the rights to my son in that jail cell. Wow. My mom came to visit, and she'd always bring my son. And, I'd always cry, and it was always sad.
Yes.
But I had to sign over my rights to him so that the state wouldn't take him.
Oh. So you signed it over to your mother. Mm-hmm. How old was he then?
He was probably two and a half. Wow. So when I got out, he was 3.
Yes.
And I was disconnected. Like I had compartmentalized all my feelings and emotions. I was so heartbroken that I was gone from him for so long that I just shut it out.
Oh, yes.
So when I got out, I went right to drugs. I hit the ground running when I got out. I went back to my parents' house, but I hit the ground running. And I was getting high. I was smoking this. I was smoking that. I was popping pills.
At that time, do you think you took the drugs to like a medication
Absolutely.
or to like an escape?
Yeah, because dealing with the reality of things was not, I was not going to do that. I didn't want to process any of these emotions.
No. Oh, man. So you were doing this for a while?
Yes, I was doing drugs for a while. That's when I started smoking drugs, smoking cocaine. And
were you still living with your parents, or how did you live at this time?
I kind of alternated. I was gone for a couple weeks. I would come back for a couple weeks. I was very shifty. I didn't know. My parents never knew when I was going to come home, but they always let me back in. They always let me back in.
Wow.
Even after stealing from them. And, my parents, God bless them. If it were not for them, I would not be here.
No. Were they believers? Or
my dad was raised in a Catholic orphanage in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And so I think he was brought up by nuns who shoved God down his throat. And, to this day, I'm not sure how he feels about God.
No.
But
But God has used him in your life.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's
Absolutely.
beautiful. So you never really grew up with a strong faith in the Lord yourself as a young child, or how was that?
I always said my prayers.
Okay.
My mom always did the "now I lay me down to sleep" prayer with me. So even if I'd been up for days or, weeks at sometimes, before I went to bed, it was always in my head, I need to say my prayers.
So God was real to you?
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's always been real to me, and he's always been in my head, like, that's not okay to be doing.
Yes.
And then I'd rationalize it with, well, this happened. And then because this is like this, then it's okay for me to do that.
Okay, so you gave yourself excuses.
Absolutely.
And that why it would be okay before God to live like this.
Absolutely.
So that's the way you went on. You lived your crazy life, and you still said your prayers at the evening every day.
Well, most days.
Oh, most days.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Where are we? Where you were around 20 something?
That's around 20 something, and so now I am not quite in prison. Oh yes, I've already gone to prison for the second time. I've come out. This is maybe 2008, 2007. I'm 28 or something, 27. Yes. At this point, I was mixing a lot of medications, pills.
Okay.
This night I was taking 5 Xanax bars, which is so many milligrams of Xanax, and I mixed them with chlorphenols. And I was having hallucinations. This is the big thing that happened in my life, like where I almost lost my life. I don't know how I'm still here. No.
Did you intend to take your life, or did you just lose control of how much you took?
So rewind back a little bit. Before this point, I was taking a whole bunch of Xanax, and I was taking some one day. I had gotten jail for the weekend.
Okay.
And I decided that I have a plan. I'm going to stay up all this week, and that way on the weekend I can just sleep all the way through jail. So I pop a bunch of pills and I take a bunch of, meth, and then all of a sudden it's Friday, or no, it's Thursday. I'm passed out in front of a pool hall, and my friend has to rush me to the hospital because I had forgotten how many Xanax I had taken. So I OD'd, and I had my stomach pumped that Thursday night. So I couldn't even go to jail that Friday. I ended up going to jail again for not going. So there's just a lot of pills. Yes. There's a lot of, sex. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of just me shutting down because I know I'm addicted, but I also don't want to deal with all the crap that I've made. Like, this bed that I've made is so ugly and so ridiculous. I don't want to lay in it.
But you still don't want to crawl out of it.
Absolutely.
Oh, I see. You're really stuck.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine, the pain it will take to get out of it.
Yes.
So you rather stay, even though it's terrible.
It's a horrible situation.
Yes, I can imagine that.
And the next big moment where I almost lost my life, I took a bunch of rohypnols and a bunch of Xanax, and I mixed them and I twirled them around with some kind of amphetamine, and I was testing stuff. Like, I just was okay with, seeing what would happen if I mixed this with that.
Did you want a thrill? Were you after?
I was after a cool high.
Okay.
That's all I was after, like a new high, because the old high wasn't fun anymore. I wanted a new high.
And is this like the same you said with money, that there is no end when you start this?
There was no end to the high. Like, it wasn't about money anymore. It was just about getting high and making sure I had money to get high. It wasn't even about the money anymore.
And it never satisfied. It just...
Absolutely. It never satisfied. So the last round that I think was really big for my pills that I really stopped using, I had hallucinations that... It's a long, complicated hallucination story, but there were hallucinations in my brain that there was a bomb that was going to go off somewhere. And this bomb was going to go off, and it was going to kill my family if my son, if my aunt didn't come and do something. I don't remember the details. So with that, my friend was driving me home because I was going nuts. Like, he was taking me home like, this girl's crazy. I'm taking her home. And so when we were pulling up to the house, for some reason, I jumped out of his vehicle.
Oh.
I jumped out of his vehicle
While it was moving.
Crushed my head, and I was in a coma for 3 days.
Oh.
I have a huge scar on the back of my head. I jumped out of a moving vehicle, scared that this bomb was going to go off if I went home. Oh. That's how triggered these hallucinations were, and how.
I mean, you cannot tell the difference between a hallucination and reality.
I think it's
that
all
was
real.
the real. Oh yes,
absolutely. And it was the craziest experience. But I will say that for the most part, I've never taken any kind of pills like that again.
No, I understand.
But
the devil really wanted to kill you for the second time there.
And it's weird, but while I was in that coma, I remember this dream. And in this dream, I'm on top of like a room. And at the bottom, there's these little demons, like these little weird creatures that had teeth, and they looked like big fish, but just snarling. And they were just circling the bottom of this room, like under some bleachers. And I just remember myself getting pulled up, and they were just looking at me like they can't wait for me to fall down. Oh. And then I just remember getting pulled up and then sucked out of it like a vacuum.
Wow.
It was the craziest thing, but I will never, ever in my life forget that dream.
No.
And I had that in a coma.
Wow.
But ever since then, I've never fought that. Like, I knew that was God from that day.
Yes.
I still battled my addiction, and I still was addicted and fighting, drugs and the streets and all the things. But I knew God had me that day.
Yes, that he was going to pull you through it.
He's going to pull me out of it.
And you saw the end result if you resisted it.
If I resisted it,
I would end up with those creatures, with probably were, demons or whatever. Yes. Okay, so you still battle with this addiction, but you had God had given you a glimpse of hope.
Yes, absolutely.
So what did you do?
I did drugs for a very long time. I did a lot of ungodly things. A numerous amount of ungodly things. I watched my son grow up, and I would always be there on his birthday, give him, $100, $50 or something. Holidays. But I was never his mom.
No, I understand.
And it always broke my absolute heart. My parents, they still loved me, but at this point they had to love me like from afar.
I understand.
They weren't really, they would always let me come in if I wanted to try to get sober. But, they always had to watch me because, I was stealing money. I was stealing all kinds of things. So I was on that for a while, in and out of jail, doing all the things. And I remember I woke up one morning in a hotel. I had one tooth here and then a bunch missing and cracked over here. I was stinky. I had two of my friends over on the side that were, waiting on me to get up and go get some more dope. And I'm busted and disgusted. And I said, you know what? I'm done. 2 weeks before that, my cousin's daughter had hung herself. She was 12 years old. She had hung herself. And I missed the celebration of life because I was too busy getting high.
Yes.
And my mama died. Yes. And my mama, we were always in Jacksboro for all kinds of things. And mama was very important to me. But when mama died, it's like something just clicked. I can't keep doing this. So sitting there in that hotel room when I woke up and I was sober and I was free of all the clouds from the drugs, I was just like, I want to go home. And I called my mom.
Yes.
And she came and got me.
Wow.
And I left everything. I left computers. I left all the things that mattered to me, my clothes, everything. I left these people in the room with all my stuff. And I said, bye. I'm leaving. And that day was December 1st, 2018.
Wow.
So I'll be 8 years clean December 1st.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where does God come in that?
God comes in probably 6 months before I quit. And I just realized that I was an ugly person. And this is not who he meant me to be.
Wow.
He's not who he meant me to be. I'm not supposed to be stealing. I'm not supposed to be doing all the things.
No.
I'm not supposed to be doing that. That's not who I am. My heart is not cut out for that.
No. You just had that realization.
Like, this is not me. This
Yes.
is not what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not fun anymore.
No.
It's not for me.
And did you turn to Jesus?
I was still stuck in my addiction. But
Yes.
that moment when I went home, I don't think I'd started coming to church until a few years after I got home.
No.
But Jesus pulled me out of addiction.
Yes.
And put me in an environment where I could get sober.
Yes.
And it was such a powerful thing because I tried to get sober many times.
And this time it was different. This time Jesus somehow helped you.
And I stayed sober. 6 months later, I was pregnant. A year and a half later, I've got a healthy baby girl. My son's living at the house. We're renewing. We're reconciling.
Yes.
I'm not stealing anything. I'm not even tempted. And that's only God. Like, for me to be not having urges or temptations, when I'm 0.3 miles from my dope dealer's house, and the dope dealer that I used to have lives 2 doors down from me. Like, he's right there. And then the dope that I always want is right down the road.
Yes.
And I can stand there in this house and thrive.
Wow.
And be renewed.
Wow, that's amazing.
Only God can do that.
Oh, yes.
Only God.
So when would you say you gave your life or your heart fully to Jesus? Do you remember a particular moment?
Yeah. So I tried to find churches for a long time because I had felt my heart saying, I was so angry. I was angry and I was glad I was sober, but there was all this built up bitterness and resentment and all these feelings inside of me. And I didn't know how to process them. So I prayed, and I prayed a lot even before I started coming to church. So I prayed and I prayed a lot, and God was like, you need to find a church. So I went church hopping, and, I went to Birchman Baptist for a while, but I always felt, whenever I left Birchman Baptist, I always felt shamed when I left. I always felt like I was getting shamed. And I went to some little churches, and, I went to some kind of bigger churches. And then I came here. And as soon as I came through the door of this church, I just started crying. And Bianca is on my neck. She's like gripped on my neck. She's 2.5, almost 3. And as soon as I walk in the door, the presence of God that was here just overflowed me. And I just couldn't stop crying. It was like he was cleansing me. And I got upstairs, and I was in there with Bianca, and they were worshiping, and I'm just crying. And Bianca wants me to move closer because she wants to hear the music. She's feeling it. She wants to move closer, so I moved closer. And by that time, Pastor had gotten up. I'm bawling. Like, I'm bawling. Bianca's on my neck, and he stopped service. Pastor Parky's like, we just need to stop for a second. And he brought me down. He asked me some questions, and he brought all the elders down to pray for me. And I have never in my life felt such a presence of God as when I did right then. And I've been here every Sunday, every Wednesday, and every Thursday since.
Wow. So you really met the love of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Oh, you were baptized in his love.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, and it's hard to resist. Once you meet the love of Jesus, it's life transforming. Yes.
And I can hear him whenever I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing.
Yes.
He's slowly correcting me from the inside.
Yes.
He's slowly guiding me, and he's such a gentleman about it because there were so many things that needed to be changed inside of me. And he was such a gentleman about doing it piece by piece by piece. He's nowhere near done, but he's tying up things, just a little bit at a time so that I don't get overwhelmed and totally freak out. He's showing me little by little, each little nook. He's kind of correcting it. It's like, okay, good. And then he moves on.
And it's so beautiful because I understand when you're telling your story that you were not a person who wanted really to be told things,
Absolutely
told what to do.
I was so defiant.
Yes, and God is dealing gently with you. He knows how you work.
Absolutely.
And he's dealing with you in a way that you could receive. And he's so good.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so gently leading you, nudging you on the right path.
And showing me the glory that is behind. If I would just listen and obey.
Yes.
If I would obey and be obedient and try to follow his word to the T,
Yes.
how beautiful it is. Like the outcome of it, it kind of gets tough in some little spots, but if you just keep doing it, there's a whole big blessing on the other side.
Yes.
There's glorifying him on the other side, and it's so beautiful, and it feels so beautiful. That's all I can say.
It feels like you had, up until you met Jesus, you had never yielded to anyone. Am I right in saying that? Yes. That you were not the kind of person to listen to anyone or yield to anyone.
Because I know everything.
Yes.
Like, why do I have to listen to anybody?
And then you got a Lord in your life.
Absolutely.
Someone else than yourself. And I mean, that is what being saved is about. To shifting lordship. I'm not the boss anymore.
Absolutely.
You are Jesus. Oh, and that is a beautiful testimony. Okay, and tell me, how is life now? What has changed?
I am teaching Sunday school. I am, in love with the kids that are coming into Sunday school. I'm in love with the church. I'm going every third Saturday to Las Vegas Trail, where I used to get high.
Wow.
Where I used to run the streets.
Yes.
And I'm praying for people. I'm giving out food.
Wow.
I'm giving out clothes. And I remember we were together whenever I met someone that I used to get high with. And, I wanted so much for her to see the other side of it.
Oh, yes.
She wasn't quite ready yet to get sober, but I do pray that she sees there is a whole other side.
Yes.
To coming out. After you can get sober.
Yes.
There's such a big, beautiful side on the other side of it.
And I know we've been talking about it before, and even in other podcasts, like Lazarus, he was risen from the dead, and just being alive, just walking around was a testimony. And I think even your testimony is such that just being alive and being sober and being filled with the Spirit of God, you hardly need to open your mouth. You are a testimony of what God can do. And it's so beautiful that you are now out where the places where you used to live this sinful and dark life, you are there, but now you're representing the kingdom of God. And you're also showing to the people there that there is hope, that Jesus can set free, and it's for them as well. I think that is wonderful. And your children, how old are they now?
My son will be 24 in October, and my daughter just turned 6 in February.
Wow.
God gave me a healthy baby girl, and he gave me another chance.
Wow.
Because he knew it broke my heart.
Yes.
He knew how heartbroken I was over not being able to raise my son because of my addiction.
Yes.
So he stepped in and he gave me another chance.
Wow.
And it's changed my life. It's changed my insides.
Yes.
It's worked on things that I didn't know needed work. But now that I see how much it has changed my life just to make these adjustments, God's got it. Like, he knows what he's doing. If I can just listen. Just listen. When he's saying, that's not it.
Yes.
That's not it. Try this. Okay, I'll try that. It works.
And when he says something you don't really like it, what happens?
Some things I have to chew on for a while.
Yes.
I have to chew on it. And, and if my way's really not doing it, some things I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
eventually you surrender.
Yeah, because there's times whenever my daughter's being 6 and she's not being practical. She's not being... she's just being 6. And I'm like, I get so mad.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I need to bring I remember it was such a revelation. He told me that next time I'm feeling so frustrated with her and I'm so aggravated, remember the love that I had for her when she was on my chest.
Yes.
Here. And then take a breath.
Yes.
All the difference in the world.
Wow.
Like, it brings me down to a child's level. Like, they're going to be crazy.
Yes.
They're going to be unpractical.
Yes.
They're going to be ridiculous.
Yes.
They're kids.
Yes.
Like, remember this baby? That's a kid. So get down to that level and then try to work it out. And
that's
made
beautiful.
Such a world of difference.
So Jesus is helping you even with your parenting.
Absolutely. He's helping me in my day-to-day life.
That's amazing.
In my day-to-day life.
Yes. And I think it's beautiful how even your parents were always willing to take you back. That is also, it shows something of the love of the Father, because that's how God is to us. He's willing to take us back again and again and again. He wants us to see us transformed, but even when we're not transforming in the way we should, he still accepts us and still welcomes us back.
Even when we just messed it up.
Yes.
I think he knew that. Like, he knew a lot of the times I was just going to not do it right.
Yes.
And he was going to be like,
but he never gave up on you.
He never gave up. He just kind of rolls his eyes like, ugh, okay.
Yes.
All right, let's do this then.
And he never gave up.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And now he's helping you to raise your own child.
Absolutely.
Yes. And giving you the wisdom you need.
Absolutely.
Wow. And what do you think about the future?
I don't know. You know, this is where I really have to trust God.
Yes.
Because at a point that I'm in right now, my dad, about 5 years ago, had a series of strokes and heart attack in 2 weeks, in like a 2-week period.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So his left side is not what it used to be.
Mm.
So I'm staying at home. I'm taking care of the house. My mom's still working, bless her. So I'm just kind of staying at home, taking care of the house in this season. It doesn't look like everybody else's season, and sometimes I get discouraged about it. But I don't think I'm supposed to be working right now. I think I'm supposed to be taking care of the house, taking care of my dad, making sure my mom's gardens are the way she likes them. You know, I'm serving them as they did for me.
Isn't that beautiful? How God has given you a chance to also give it back.
And I pray to God every night that I can unbreak my mom's heart.
Yes.
Because I know how much I broke her heart.
Yes. And that, I mean, that is something for Jesus to do.
Absolutely.
Yes. He can heal the brokenhearted. He's an expert at that. And we will continue to pray for that, of course. Absolutely. But it's wonderful how he gives you a chance to serve. Yes. To serve the ones
who saved me.
Yes. And the ones who were willing to sacrifice so much for you and whose trust you broke so many times. Now Jesus has made you into a trustworthy person that is of use for you. Like Onesimus, the slave in the Bible, he became of use for Paul. You became useful. You were not, you were probably a heartache for your parents, but you have become someone who is useful and a blessing to them.
So there's also something. Now there's times like when my family goes out on vacation or they're going here or they're going there. Now they call me and they're like, hey, can you come and, feed the cats and water the plants and do the things? And I'm like, okay. And it feels so wonderful for me to be able to do that. Like, absolutely.
And you're trustworthy.
I'm trustworthy. I've gained their trust.
And they give you the keys to their homes and they know you won't steal, you won't destroy anything.
Correct.
Wow, God has really changed also your character and the gifts of this, the fruits of the Spirit.
I want to carry them every day.
Yes.
Like I want to know them, carry them, speak them, walk them. I want the fruits of the Spirit to be inside of me and just shining all the time. Now, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'm not getting it right.
Well, it's a journey.
Absolutely.
And it's a journey. And the fruits of the Spirit are fruits. We can't produce them by ourselves. But we're living close to Jesus. They will grow as fruits. But already we see a lot of it. And that's so wonderful. That's such a testimony. Jesus has really been good to you. And I mean, you, like you said, you know people that still are out there. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice? Or either to those people or to people who might be, meeting these people?
Absolutely. To anybody who's trying to get sober,
yes, I
would say find a space where you can be around people who have the same goals as you. It's impossible to get sober around people that are not sober and are not striving to be sober. The beginning of sobriety is very lonely.
So you need to cut some connections.
You have to cut all connections.
Yes.
It's very lonely. You have to cut connections with those people that don't have the same goals as you. And if they have the same goals, but they're not completing the goals or striving for those goals, then you have to cut those connections too.
It's like, the treasure in the field. You have to really pay everything. You have to sacrifice everything to get this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you are the company you keep is my number one adage, I guess. You are the company you keep. If you're around people that want to get high or choose to get high, you will go get high.
Yes.
But if you can find something to do in like the first 6 months of your sobriety, I painted. I painted everything in my house. I showed Michael some pictures of things that I painted. I painted the mailboxes, the fences. I painted everything. Like whenever I was feeling anxious and, getting in my head about it, I started painting things.
Yes. And that was probably something that God gave to you.
Absolutely.
The wisdom of God.
Because if your idle time is the devil's playground, another one that it's always in my head. And if you don't do anything with your mind, the devil's going to creep in there and tell you need to go get high.
Yes.
So find a hobby, find friends, and find a church.
Yes.
I wish I wouldn't have waited so long to find a church, but find a hobby and find a church would be my...
Yes.
Because once you find a church, you will find your people.
Yes. And even if you have a strong personal relationship with God, you also need the support
Absolutely.
of brothers and sisters. Yes, we're not called to make this journey alone.
Absolutely
yes.
not. And I found some of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
And all my years of doing drugs and all the things, I thought I had friends. But the loyalty that God gives us inside of our hearts to follow Him,
yes,
we give to other people. And these people who aren't following God don't know how to embrace that loyalty. They don't know how to use it.
No.
They just abuse it. So I was convinced that everybody was crap, nobody was good. But the people I've met inside of this church will be friends that I have for my entire life.
That's beautiful. Yes. And we talk about it sometimes, this triangle, that as we grow closer to Jesus, we also grow closer to one another.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so beautiful. And so that's wonderful, great advice. And I'm so happy to hear all of this. Jesus has surely transformed your life. And you're a living testimony that there are no hopeless cases for God.
Absolutely not. I was so far on the other side, but He picked me right back up.
Yes.
When He saw I was finally ready to be done, He said, okay.
Yes.
And He showed me the way.
And there's no going back. It's a wonderful future together with Jesus.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this.
Absolutely.
God bless you.